Good afternoon. I'm Andrew Emery, immediate past chair of the Section of Administrative Law and Regulatory Practice. Welcome to the Section's 2022 awards presentation. First off, I want to thank the sponsors of this awards presentation, Widener University, Commonwealth Law School's Law and Government Institute, and DocketScope, Inc. Second, I want to thank you all for joining us to honor our 2022 awardees. One of the most important activities of our section is to recognize and appreciate those who contribute so much to the field of administrative law and regulatory practice and help lift, inspire, and inform us all. The first award we will celebrate today is our Award for Scholarship in Administrative Law. This award recognizes the best scholarly work published in the field of administrative law during the year 2021. Our scholarship committee was chaired by Linda Jellum, vice chairs Jack Bierman, Neil Devins, and Emily Hammond. The committee examined a multitude of articles and books, including many worthy nominations. The 2021 scholarship was truly outstanding, and the committee had a challenging task in selecting just one winner. But alas, they did. The award for Scholarship in Administrative Law in 2021 goes to Professors Julian Davis Mortensen and Nicholas Bagley for their article, Delegation at the Founding. For those of you taking footnotes for this presentation, that's 121, Columbia Law Review 277. Their article refutes the claim that Constitution was originally understood to contain a non-delegation doctrine. Their article presents an original insight and new theoretical construct about the current issue of administrative law. It is persuasively argued and supported with new evidence and research. Please join me in congratulating Professors Mortensen and Bagley for winning the award for Scholarship in Administrative Law. Congratulations, Julian Nicholas. Next, I have the honor of presenting the award and title of Section Fellow to our former Section Chair, Chris Walker. Chris was my immediate predecessor as Section Chair, serving the 2020-2021 ABA year. Chris's term was in the heart of COVID. In spite of all virtual events, Chris Walker maintained constant engagement with the section, presented numerous well-attended virtual webinars and symposia. Chris has been a leader in the section for many years, chairing section committees, serving on our governing council, and serving successive years as vice chair, chair-elect, and section chair. As everyone who has attended past conferences and this conference, he was speaking this morning in the developments portion, and other section events, you know that Chris Walker has consistently organized and presented incredible panels and webinars. For the second year in a row, Chris Walker has co-chaired this annual administrative law conference. Chris also supports the section on our Notice and Comment blog hosted by the Yale Journal on Regulation, where he regularly plugs section events and organizes symposia with other section members. In addition to all this, Chris has maintained a day job. For years, we knew Chris as the esteemed Professor Walker at the Ohio State University. That recently changed. It may have been that he lost a bet. We really don't know. Regardless of the indelicate details, Chris was sent to the northern reaches of the state and is now professor of law at the University of Michigan. So now please join me in congratulating Chris Walker on being awarded the title of Section Fellow for all of his contributions. So congratulations, Chris. Now, one of the great privileges of being section chair is to be able to honor and thank one of our colleagues and friends with the Volunteer of the Year Award. It is a great pleasure to give the section's 2022 Volunteer of the Year Award to Christina McDonald. Christina has contributed to our section for many years on panels, webinars, and section leadership. Now, by definition, the role of volunteer is in addition to a day job. For Christina, the day job is as Associate General Counsel for Regulatory Affairs at the Department of Homeland Security. For those of you who are not familiar with the agency, that's quite a demanding day job. In 2022, during her volunteer time, Christina finished her last year on our governing council, co-chaired the Homeland Security Law Institute, and offered recommendations for many of the interesting and relevant panels that you are hearing at this conference. And this is among other things. As usual, the Volunteer of the Year is someone who has contributed to this section for many years. Christina has organized panels and presented at our conferences and events for at least 10 years. She served on the section's governing council and is currently in her third year of co-chairing the Homeland Security Law Institute. During my year as section chair, I always appreciated knowing that any project Christina was involved in would be a success. So please join me in congratulating Christine McDonald on receiving the section's 2022 Volunteer of the Year Award. So thank you very much, Christine. Now I have the honor to announce the winner of the 2022 Gellhorn Sargentic Law Student Essay Competition. The selection committee was comprised of Bill Lundberg, Bill Jordan, and Tammy Etheridge. This competition honors the memory of Ernest Gellhorn, a distinguished law dean and administrative law professor and former section chair, and Thomas Sargentic, a distinguished administrative law professor at the American University's Washington College of Law and a great friend and contributor to the section. The goal of the competition is to encourage law students to become involved in the section, attract students to the administrative law practice fields, and to encourage scholarship in these fields. After reviewing many qualified submissions, the selection committee chose Laura Stanley as the winner of the 2022 Gellhorn Sargentic Law Student Essay Competition for her essay, Supervising Guantanamo Tribunals, Appointments Clause Challenges After Arthrex. In response to the news that she won, Laura said, "I saw what a huge impact administrative law had on many lives during my first job at the Environmental Protection Agency, and the experience encouraged me to apply to law school. I hope to become an administrative law scholar in the future, and I'm thrilled that I have already been able to contribute to the field." Laura is a perfect example of a competition achieving its goal. So please join me in congratulating Laura Stanley for winning the 2022 Gellhorn Sargentic Law Student Essay Competition. All right, now I have the great privilege of announcing the winner of the 2022 Mary C. Lawton Award for Outstanding Government Service. This award was created in 1989 to honor the memory of Mary Lawton, a distinguished career government lawyer who also served in leadership roles on our section for many years. The Mary Lawton Award recognizes outstanding contributions to the development, implementation, or improvement of administrative law and regulatory practice, and that reflects sustained excellence in performance. This prestigious award is the section's highest honor for public servants. The nomination of the 2022 Mary Lawton Award came from Professor Jeffrey Lubbers at the American University Washington College of Law. Professor Lubbers is a long-standing leader of our section and the field of administrative law. And I say this not only because of his role as the longtime editor of a guide to federal agency rulemaking that hopefully everyone has on their shelf behind them, like I do, and also his many years of running the annual developments panel at our past conferences, but also because of his enduring commitment and contributions to the field of administrative law. Professor Lubbers is also a past recipient of the Mary Lawton Award. So being nominated for the Mary Lawton Award by Professor Lubbers is by itself a great honor. The Mary Lawton Award Committee, comprised of Elaine Reese, Dan Cohen, and John Vitone, was in complete agreement with Professor Lubbers' nomination of Jeff Rosen for the 2022 Mary Lawton Award. Now, the eligibility criteria for the Mary Lawton Award says all government attorneys active in the field of administrative law and regulatory practice are eligible. While career officials generally will be favored, exceptional political appointees also will be considered. Well, Jeff Rosen has been an exceptional political appointee. Jeff Rosen's service to the federal government reflects the highest ideals of the Mary Lawton Award. Jeff's service as general counsel and deputy secretary at the Department of Transportation left an indelible mark on the programs and activities of the department. Jeff's work as general counsel at the Office of Management Budget was groundbreaking on numerous administrative law issues. In addition to those appointments, Jeff also spent some time at the Department of Justice. Professor Lubbers, the awards committee, and the section believe Jeff Rosen deserves special commendation for his steadfast commitment to the rule of law as Deputy and Acting Attorney General of the United States and his exemplary leadership at the Department of Justice during a crucial time for our country. The Mary Lawton Award Committee and the section of Administrative Law and Regulatory Practice are very proud to offer this award to Jeff Rosen. We are fortunate to have Jeff Rosen here to address our conference. So please join me in welcoming and congratulating Jeff Rosen as the recipient for the 2022 Mary C. Lawton Award. Jeff?
Thank you, Andrew. Those are very generous comments. And I want to express my appreciation to the entire section for this award. I've known many of the past recipients since this award was created in 1989. So I know what an outstanding group it is, and I'm certainly very humbled to join them. And to receive an award from this section, a group that has meant so much to me over a long period of time, is really something I will always value and be grateful for. But before I offer some remarks, let me also congratulate all of the other recipients of awards today, because they have done exceptional things and they really deserve our appreciation, even if it's only virtual today. When I learned that I would receive an award today, I was bowled over with both surprise and gratitude. That was in part because I knew the eligibility the criteria for this award focus on a body of work in government over time. But it slowly dawned on me that I'd actually served nearly 10 years at the three different agencies you referenced, Transportation, OMB, and Justice, and also had another 5 years as a public member of the Administrative Conference, ACUS, nearly 15 years in total. How time flies when you're having fun, especially when it's about administrative law. Now, I could talk about any of those four agencies for more time than we have today. But as it turned out, the end of my time in government wound up memorable, really for some unwelcome reasons. I remember that on my last day in government, January 20th, 2021, driving through DC and arriving at DOJ in the morning, and there were National Guard members at the Justice Department and all over the district. That was Inauguration Day, and thankfully things went fine that day, at least with 25,000 National Guard around. But the reason the National Guard were there on January 20 was because of what had happened 2 weeks earlier on January 6. The violence at the Capitol that day was a travesty and a tragic episode in our nation's history. I remember seeing the scene unfold on TV and then learning that the Capitol Police were requesting help. At the Justice Department, we very urgently sent more than 500 agents and officers from the ATF, the FBI, and the U.S. Marshal Services to assist at the Capitol. And I know that DHS sent help as well, as did the Metro Police and some police from both Virginia and Maryland. I put out a statement that afternoon denouncing the intolerable attack on a fundamental institution of our democracy and made clear that DOJ, quote, intended to enforce the laws of our land, close quote. Order was restored. I remember having a call with the congressional leadership and others around 7 p.m., at which they were told that Congress could reconvene around 8 p.m. And at just about 8 p.m., Congress did reconvene and completed the constitutional process that same night, which I know I thought was important, and I believe others did too. At DOJ, we began filing charges the very next day. And by the time I left on January 20th, we had charged about 150 people. And of course, afterwards, that number grew even larger. In the time since then, I've reflected on the contrast in how the buildings were breached, but the Constitution and the rule of law proved, thankfully, resilient. I've thought about how much people take for granted our key institutions of self-government, the Congress, the courts, the enforcement functions of the executive branch. And I've said this before, but as a society, we truly need to restore greater respect and appreciation for our Constitution, our representative democracy, and for the rule of law. Now, when it comes to the rule of law, there's no escaping the vital role of lawyers. All of us take an oath to the Constitution and to uphold the rule of law. We must be committed to the rule of law and to resist anyone who would try to destroy it. This is true of all lawyers, whether in government or in the private sector. But government lawyers have some special responsibilities regarding the rule of law. I obviously can't address every aspect of that today, but I am focused on one that is an important difference in how the rule of law implicates government lawyers differently than private sector lawyers, in part because it relates to the work that regulatory lawyers do. In the private realm, in a free society like ours, there's a general proposition that anything that's not prohibited by the government is permissible. But for the same reasons, the opposite is true in a government of limited powers. Agencies need statutory authorization to take actions. So unlike the private sector, anything that is not authorized is not permitted. It's actually illegal. So in principle, all else being equal, that increases the odds of a government lawyer having to say no to something relative to the situation for a private lawyer. And that can be the case not only when large issues are at stake, but in many lesser situations. Not everybody likes it, but sometimes lawyers actually do have to say no. As lawyers, we like to think of ourselves as problem solvers and good at finding legally proper solutions. And that's a good thing most of the time. Good lawyers help find good and lawful solutions. But there are times that adherence to the law and to the facts requires good lawyers to say no. Ethical situations are the most obvious of those, but there are others, including for regulatory lawyers. And of course, administrative law is largely the law of requirements for how government needs to operate, supplementing, of course, constitutional requirements. So administrative lawyers in government play a crucial role in how key institutions work and in how the rule of law is maintained, and in helping their agencies determine if actions are legally authorized or if they have to say no to what is being proposed. Regulatory lawyers do an important service. This could be in situations where the stakes are higher, as I said, or they can be where they're lower. But sometimes it's our government lawyers who are the ones who have to make our institutions work by saying no, where the rule of law demands that. Which takes me to my final thought for today. It seems to me that the Constitution and the rule of law not only underpin our whole system and certainly our key government institutions, but they are also things that should unite us as lawyers and as Americans. As lawyers, we routinely debate the meanings of the Constitution and the meanings of statutes, but we nonetheless revere them. Everybody should. Spread the word. Likewise, we know our institutions of government are imperfect, and we try to improve them, as we should, but we need to respect them at the same time. Our institutions matter, our laws matter, and they are the daily work of agency regulatory lawyers. They are an essential part of the rule of law. So in wrapping up, let me just say that these are the kinds of issues I've cared deeply about whenever I was in government and when I was in private practice too. So to receive this Mary Lawton Award for my time in public service is a tremendous honor and one for which I offer my deepest appreciation and respect. Many thanks to the section, and thanks to all of you watching today for this opportunity to share these thoughts as well.
Thank you very much, Jeff, for those words and for setting such a wonderful example for the legal profession and for all of us. And I'm going to conclude our little session here by thanking our awards committees for their incredible work this year and their excellent selections. And a final congratulations to all of our awardees, Professors Mortensen and Bagley for the award for the Scholarship in Administrative Law, Chris Walker, our newly anointed section fellow, Christina McDonald, our 2022 Volunteer of the Year, Laura Stanley, the winner of the 2022 Gellhorn-Sardentic Law Student Essay Competition, and of course, with us, Jeff Rosen, the 2022 Mary Lawton Award for Government Service. Thank you all. Congratulations to all of our awardees. Thank everyone for attending and enjoy the rest of the conference.